the gingival sulcus primarily contains the following contents with the exception of, so except the squamated epithelial cells, PMNs, transudate, RBCs. So which one is the exception? Periodontal health. What do you think is the answer? Compare a healthy periodontium or healthy gingiva with an inflamed gingiva.
D.
In an inflamed gingiva, when you probe what happens, it easily bleeds. So knowing that, what's the answer here? A healthy periodontium
D.
gingiva
Talk.
would that have, sorry, B or D?
Talk.
Dog. Okay, so that's red blood cells. Kasi nga, there's no bleeding, absence of bleeding. Okay, so RBC. Number 6. The space bounded by the tooth and the free gingiva and having the junctional epithelium at its base is termed as, oops, the space bounded by the tooth and the free gingiva. This is the free gingiva. What do you call this space now? What is this space?
D.
Sorry, B or D?
D.
D, gingival sulcus. Since we're talking about the space, that is your gingival sulcus. Okay? But if you're asked the part of the gingiva bounded by your free gingival margin and your junctional epithelium or your free gingival groove, what would be your answer? What do you call this?
You mean what measurement?
No, what part of the gingiva is bounded by your free gingival margin and your free gingival groove? What do you call this area?
Free gingiva.
That's the free gingiva. Diba? You have your free gingiva, and after your free gingival groove, you now have your attached gingiva. Your attached gingiva is bounded by your free gingival groove and what structure below?
Mucogingival junction.
Your mucogingival junction, because after your mucogingival junction, you now have your
Attached mucosa.
attached mucosa. No, it's not attached.
Alveolar mucosa.
Alveolar mucosa. That's why when you try to perform apically repositioned flap, you need to extend your incision up to the alveolar mucosa. Diba? You have to incise all the way up to here so that you'll be able to move the gingiva freely. You need to free your gingiva from the attached gingiva. You have to be able to reflect the attached gingiva up to the alveolar mucosa or up to almost the vestibular area para to become free. You'll be able to reposition the gingiva apically or coronally, depending on your procedure. On what procedure do we usually reposition the gingiva coronally?
For the gingival recession.
For the gingival recession, however, for gingival recession, kasi if you reposition the gingiva coronally, you won't have any bone support for the gingiva. Diba? If this is your bone here. This is your gingiva. Even if you try to reposition your gingiva coronally up to this level, it's still unsupported, meaning to say you'll not be able to manage the gingival recession here. You need to have a bone. So what procedure do we usually reposition the gingiva coronally?
Burger.
Berger's operation. Diba? Closure of the sinus. We reposition the gingiva coronally. Buccal advancement flap. That's the other term. Okay? So we have a picture here showing you the different parts of the gingiva. You have your gingival groove. This is your gingival sulcus here. Okay? You have your pregingival groove, pregingiva, pregingival margin, and others. What do you call the epithelium here?
Sulcular.
This is circular epithelium. Circular epithelium, and you have your oral epithelium here. Comparing your circular epithelium from your oral epithelium, which one is non-keratinized?
Sulcular.
The circular epithelium is non-keratinized. And which among the two does not contain any retipegs?
Circular also. Right?
The circular epithelium also does not contain any retipegs unless when?
Sometimes no, disease.
In the presence of the disease. In the presence of the disease, the circular epithelium would have a presence of retipegs. Okay? But in gingival health, most of the time, it does not contain any retipegs. Number 7. Which of the following parameters are indicative of gingival health? Bleeding upon probing, gingival enlargement, inverted interdental gingival contours, firm consistency of gingival margin. Which one would contain, or which one would indicate a healthy gingiva?
D.
Letter, sorry. B or D?
Dog.
Dog. So a healthy gingiva is firm
Is the
in
bacteria
consistency,
present in is
right?
the bacteria present in plant
as opposed to
different from the bacteria
inflamed gingiva,
present
which
in
is
calculus? Is the
the
bacteria
Anaerobe versus
consistency of an
anaerobe dog.
inflamed gingiva.
Does that have to do
what
with
about
Be back by 10.
what about it?
once you have
Growth
when you have the anaerobe
No,
bacteria,
no.
normally the
But-
And I
ship
call it soft.
in
Call it soft.
ano
Consistency.
yun? The bacterial
In the
environment.
environment?
From
But we have
if it's
texture.
anaerobic, usually they're more destructive
We
than
have
aerobic.
consistency.
Diba?
But
We have
let's say that
color.
this
We
one
have
has more anaerobic
tawag dito?
bacteria.
marginal
If this
gingiva.
calcifies,
We have interdental
happens?
papilla. We have bleeding on probing. So in terms of consistency, a healthy gingiva is firm,
I think
but
maybe
an
it's
inflamed
because
gingiva is
If it calcifies,
okay, go ahead. Miss Lynn first.
spongy. Tama, that's
okay,
spongy, right?
maybe because the
What about
calculus
texture?
is more porous
Healthy gingiva
and
is
the
healthy gingiva
oxygen more
has
easy to go inside.
stippling.
stippling,
Okay.
presence of stippling, while an inflamed gingiva
Mr.
does
Vadin,
not have any stippling. But do all patients have stippling on their gingiva?
I was gonna go
No.
towards where she's
No,
going.
diba?
If this
Stippling
is
is not present
anaerobic,
on all
and you
patients.
go towards calculus,
So can you
it's
use
more
stippling as
ano
a
yun,
basis for classifying the
porous.
gingiva,
It
whether
allows
if it's healthy or inflamed?
No, I'm having a hard
What
time explaining
happens-
it. If it's a
what
patient of yours.
happens during the process of
If it's known
calcification?
to exist previously.
Okay, I think maybe
You
it's
can use
because
stippling
the
as a basis
calcification.
if it is known to
so
exist
the
previously.
inside
But if
the
it's your first
bacteria
time seeing a
inside the
patient, you
calculus
don't know
was
if the
sealed.
patient really has stippling on
No.
his
So
gingiva.
cannot
What
contact
then you
the
cannot use that as the
Not
sole
really. What
basis
causes
for
calcification of
identifying
plaque?
or classifying whether the gingiva is inflamed or not.
what
What about the
causes
color of a
Sa
healthy
the
gingiva?
the minerals,
The minerals that's present in
Color is
saliva
coral
and
pink,
saliva and
and
clavicle.
an
glands.
inflamed gingiva
Gingiva.
is. So one of the property of
Erythematus.
saliva is marginal gingiva,
Kills bacteria
Knife
also.
edge
May ano,
Kills
versus
roll.
bacteria.
knife
It
edge
has
versus rolled,
antibacterial property.
interdental
It's
papilla,
able to kill the bacteria. So meaning to say, during the process of calcification, what
interdental
happens to
papilla
the
is
amount of anaerobic bacteria present?
pointed
It
It
decreases.
lessens.
and
lessens.
It's less than. So
uninflamed
meaning to say,
gingiva.
the more prominent bacteria
It
or the
is
more dominant
described to be
bacteria now are the aerobic bacteria once it becomes calculus.
the term. Not
Yes,
pointed,
there are
literally
bacteria
not
present,
pointed.
however, they
So
are not
what should you
virulent
use?
enough to cause the disease.
Blunted. Okay. What
Get
about
that?
bleeding or
Sabi natin, di
probing?
ba?
We need to have more anaerobic bacteria for you to have tissue destruction in the area. Healthy gingiva, even though
But
you have
health wala.
anaerobic bacteria here,
Negative.
but if they're not
Okay?
enough
And in number,
minimal, pwede rin, di ba? Inflamed, present. Talking about bleeding and probing, we use periodontal probe for this. And how much force do we usually apply when probing?
20 to 25.
20 to 25 grams of force. Okay, what's the diameter of the probe?
Point 0.5 or 0.25?
0.5
0.5.
millimeters. 0.5 millimeter is the diameter of your periodontal probe. Okay. Yes,
Doc,
Mr. Padu.
for consistency, can it be bulbous for yung inflamed?
Which one?
Consistency.
For consistency?
Instead of spongy,
No.
bulbous
Kasi when
lang.
you
Okay.
say it should be spongy. Kasi when you say bulbous, you're talking about the shape. It's not about consistency. Okay. What else? What would happen if you apply less than 20 to 25 grams of force when you probe? Inadequate force is applied.
the pocket amount will be less than it's supposed to be.
Less than. So you would have a false negative
Reading.
false negative. If it's more than 20 to 25 grams of force, then you would have a false positive reading. Okay. Where should the tip of the probe rest when you apply your probing?
Junctional epithelium.
The junctional epithelium and not the alveolar crest. The tip of the probe should lie on the junctional epithelium and not the alveolar crest. So only up to here. You're not supposed to be penetrating your probe up to the alveolar crest. Because if you penetrate your probe up to the alveolar crest, you are violating which one? What part?
Palatal width.
What do you call this area here?
Biologic
Junctional
width.
epithelium, biologic width. You're violating the biologic width. Okay? You need to preserve the biologic width. The biologic width measures roughly around how many millimeters?
2 mm.
Sorry, 4?
2.
2 millimeters. Okay? 2 millimeters is a estimate of the diameter or the distance or the length of your biologic width. Okay. What else? What are the different parameters that we use when classifying the patient, whether he has periodontal disease? Parameters, clinical parameters that we check.
The pocket depths and the clinic attachment loss.
Okay, what else? That's correct.
Bleeding.
Bleeding and probing. What else? Clinical parameters.
GR.
Gingival recession. What else?
Deposits.
Deposits. What else?
You need take an X-ray to check the bone loss.
Radiograph. Okay. What else? What's this? How do you assess this one? Color, texture, consistency. Those are, or those can be assessed through what examination?
Clinical.
Clinical or visual? Visual examination. What else? This can be a basis on deciding whether the tooth needs to be extracted or not.
The mobility.
Mobility, very good. Oops, sorry. Mobility. What else? Most of the time, the posterior teeth are assessed using these parameters.
Tooth affected. Or tooth
Sorry,
involved. Teeth involved.
teeth involved. Um, it's limited to the posterior. This parameter is limited to the posterior. You use a special probe for this.
Percussion involvement.
Of
Furcation, very good. Furcation involvement. Okay. And what probe do you usually use for assessing the furcation involvement?
Neighbors.
Neighbor's probe. Aside for bleeding on probing, what else? Ano yun? Aside for bleeding on probing, what else do you assess after inserting the probe? You're observing if there's bleeding, or what else can come out of the pocket? Aside sa blood, ano pa pwedeng can ooze out from the pocket?
Pus.
Pus, suppuration, right? So PPD, GR, CL, radiograph, BOP, visual exam, mobility, furcation, involvement, suppuration. These are your clinical parameters that you can assess or that you need to assess when classifying the gingival health of your patient. Okay. um, how would you be able to differentiate grade 2 from grade 3 mobility? Grade 3 mobility would have
Vertical mobility.
vertical displacement, vertical mobility or vertical displacement. You can depress the tooth from its socket. Okay. Number 8. Yes, Mr. Fadul?
The previous slide po, the question based looking at the how how do you assume that it's based or it's, I guess, related to an gingiva, a
Mhm.
healthy gingiva specifically in this case? Because this
Mhm.
is which of the following parameters are indicative of a gingival health?
Mhm.
Based on all the parameters that you mentioned here, bleeding
Mhm.
is here, ano yun, and D. So A and D are both possible answers, diba? Unless, how do you
No.
assume that it's related to ano?
This one should be absence of
Oh,
bleeding.
if uh so we automatically are assuming that it's related to a healthy gingiva.
If it is firm. But for letter A kasi, it says bleeding upon probing, meaning to say when you probe, there's bleeding.
Mm.
There should be absence of bleeding upon probing for you to be to be able to classify it as a healthy gingiva. So if you just say bleeding upon probing, it means when you probe, it bleeds. So you need to say the gingiva is inflamed. Diba? Bleeding on probing is the earliest sign of gingival inflammation. But if you're asked what is the earliest sign of gingival inflammation, if you are to choose between redness or erythema of the gingiva and bleeding on probing, the answer is bleeding on probing. Okay? Is it clear? Okay. Number 8. Number 24, tooth number 24 has 3 millimeter of exposed lingual root as measured by the probe from the CEJ to the free gingival margin. Your periodontal diagnosis is
Recession. E.
the answer here is gingival recession. For a while lang. So I want to discuss something. However, I don't know if it's already here in the PowerPoint. I'll just check first. Okay, parang it's not here pa naman. Wala pa. So the answer here is letter E, recession. Okay? So, dito ko dapat ata i-discuss yan. Wait lang ha. Hindi. So anyway, so what if the question says tooth number 24 has 5 millimeter or 7 millimeter pocket. What would it mean? Okay. Does it mean that it's healthy? There's periodontitis. There's gingival enlargement, gingival recession. Tooth number 24 has 7 mm pocket.
Perio.
Perio. Healthy. Pwede ba? Hindi pwedeng healthy. Gingival recession. Pwede ba yung gingival recession? Tooth 24 has a 7 mm pocket. That's the only thing that you know. There's 7 mm pocket. Is it possible that the tooth also has gingival recession? This is recession. Is it possible that it would also has 7 mm pocket? Meaning to say this one should be less than 7 mm. That's your pocket, right? That's your PPD. So a tooth can have a gingival recession and a periodontal pocket at the same time, because those are two different measurements. Diba? The manner on how you measure the gingival recession, that's from CEJ up to the free gingival margin. So you would have a different reading here and a different reading for your PPD. So gingival recession and periodontal pocket can exist at the same time. That's why we have PPD and GR and CAL. Diba? You record the PPD, you record the CAL, you record the GR, or the gingival recession of the patient. Okay, especially if the tooth is long and the bone support is already there up to the apical third of the root. Yes, it's possible that you would have 7 mm reading here. And it's possible that you would also have gingival recession present here. Diba? There are cases kasi wherein the bone is here and the gingiva is still in this level. So when you try to use the air syringe, it would tend to flap. The gingiva would tend to flap, especially if it's inflamed. But there's coronal migration pa of the gingiva due to inflammation. So they can exist at the same time. Okay. What about here? Gingival enlargement. Can you have a 7 mm pocket if you have a gingival enlargement? Yes, diba? But is it a periodontal pocket?
It depends.
Gingival enlargement. It depends on what? Yes, it's no, pero it depends on what?
After, I guess, initial treatment.
After initial scaling,
It must
when you,
have
sorry, in,
it must have the pocket
it must
because
have a
it's
pocket,
7 mm already.
7 mm already. So when you say gingival enlargement kasi, that is only gingival pocket. Gingival pocket is different from periodontal pocket. So you can have gingival enlargement due to certain medications like your dilantin, your calcium channel blockers, diba? Which we manage through what procedure?
Gingivectomy.
Gingival.
Gingivectomy. So yes, you can have 7 mm pocket if you have gingival enlargement, which can be managed through gingivectomy. You cannot have gingival enlargement at the same time periodontitis.
di ba? Pseudo pocket kasi measures only up to how many millimeter? False pocket would only measure
Two.
around 1 at most, 1 millimeter. Di ba? Pseudo pockets would measure 1 millimeter at most if there is periodontal pocket. But if it's only gingival pocket due to certain medications, then that's a false pocket, pseudo pocket, gingival pocket. You manage it through gingivectomy. You excise the gingiva. So even though you performed oral prophylaxis on the area, it would not resolve on its own. Okay? So how would you be able to differentiate gingival enlargement from how would you know pala na it's just a gingival enlargement? What should be the color of the mucosa? What should be the color of the gingiva? It's
Pink.
it's pink, coral pink, or same color as the surrounding mucosa. It's not erythematous. Okay? Baka kasi you're expecting pink, pero there's melanin pigmentation. So you won't be able to see pink, coral pink on the patient's gingiva. Okay? Are we clear on this? Number, ano to? Migration of the mucogingival line, okay. Dehiscence, you already know this.
Doc, would the dehiscence be a
Fenestra.
type of recession?
Dehiscence is a severe type of gingival recession. Yes, it's a form of recession, but it's a severe type of gingival recession. Most of the time due to trauma. Okay? Can orthodontic tooth movement cause dehiscence, or is orthodontic tooth movement only limited to fenestration? What do you
Can
think?
be.
It can be. On what instance?
Both. Both.
I mean, on what instance can you have dehiscence in terms of orthodontic tooth movement? What type of tooth movement?
Ano yun? Not translation, what's the word?
So if you perform bodily movement of the tooth, diba? You would
Yes,
have
but bodily
fenestration.
movement.
But for this one, when tipping, if you move the teeth forward, if you tip the teeth forward, then you would have bone loss on this area. Diba? Tipping movement. Okay? But if you move the teeth backward, what can happen? Backward mo naman siya minove. Ito na.